Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So today's video, we're going to be looking at how to improve your build by using different kinds of synergies. This video basically is designed to show players how to do theory crafting and building, and these are most likely points and tips for new players. So if you're a veteran, your goal will probably just be to maybe just watch it if there's if you have maybe any interest, or maybe in the comment section help out someone who's new. Apparently we're having a lot of new players or returning players, so these ideas might just kind of get them in a more comfortable spot. Now, something that's really popular in the division community is build making. That's one of the really cool things about it. It brings in a lot of interest in the game. It brings in a lot of I would say growth for content creators. And one of the really cool things about building is you basically learn how to do it, and then you start to define how you want to do it based on your play style. So say I wanted to make a build using the regular assault turrets. This turret, all it does is just fire assault rounds. Usually the turret builds that are very popular in the game are the sniper turret and the artillery turret. But what if I wanted to just use the assault one, where it just kept firing automatically? How would I build it? If you notice, it's just firing continuous ordinances at the targets and all of that. So what I want for this build is I want my turret to be available, almost 100% uptime if I can actually help it. You can't do it in this game, but you can try to get as close as possible where you always have it on hand every time. If you destroy it, you want to have it on hand with you as you're going. That's one way to go. And then the second thing is you want to have it deal as much damage as possible. These are your two goals with a skill like this. Now, for a complementary skill that I also want to use, it's going to be, if I want to use on one hand the turret and then on the other hand my oxidizer chem launcher, I also want the same thing. I want for my chem launcher to have a huge uptime as well, have as much ammo as it can carry, and also have as much damage, radius, and duration as I can get it. So these two things are, these two concepts still apply to the second build that I'm also holding. So what that tells me is I want to do DPS, but I want to do skill DPS. So I want my DPS to be coming primarily from my skills, and then everything else that I build and everything that I work with is there to enhance it. Now, that means I'll have to find brand sets and talents that do help me enhance this. So what is the combination that I have here? I have a Hana Yu mask, because Hana Yu is a brand set that actually grants me 10% skill haste if I put on one piece, 10% skill damage if I use two pieces. So I get that 10% skill damage from here, as well as rolling 10% skill damage on my mask, because skill damage is a stat that can roll as a minor attribute on every single brand item that you have in the game. Okay, so you're going to see the theme. So right now we are sitting at 20% skill damage, and then I come into Wyvern. Wyvern has a potential to also get 10% skill damage as well if you use one piece, and then now I have another 10% skill damage, which is now putting us at a total of what? Say it, 40% skill damage. You follow up again and you go to Murakami. Murakami, for you to gain its 10% skill damage, you actually have to use you have to actually wear 3 pieces to get that skill damage, and then you roll another skill damage on there on the build, and now you are looking at 60% skill damage. This is basically what you're gonna get. Now, every single gear, every single skill or whatever, if you had no skill damage, will still be doing a base amount of skill damage in the game. But with these stats being stacked up, you are now improving it by using gear sets and gear pieces to actually get that, to go high. Now, if you also look at the talents that I've actually selected for my gear, I've done it in a way where I have glass cannon, which says all damage that you deal is amplified by 25%, and all damage you take is amplified by 50%. Using a turret will mean I'm going to be in cover a lot, so that's basically why I'm going to be comfortable, or more comfortable, running a talent like this. I'll probably hang back, throw my turret up front, or position it, and then go hide in a place. And then now this gives me an amplified 25% damage. Amplification means that my damage is multiplicative. So when I do the math, I'll have to multiply my damage by an additional 25% boost, which gives me a lot more damage. So that's why it's worth wearing. And in the application, it's also worth using because I'm not necessarily going to be popping my head out of cover too much. So if you also go back and look at another talent that I've selected, I've also selected Combined Arms. Combined Arms says shooting an enemy increases total skill damage by 25% for 3 seconds. So this is something that's really, really good with this build and synergizing it. So if you notice, I have spec'd to have brand talent to give me extra skill damage, and also have even the specific talents for the backpack and chest piece grant me extra skill damage, even though they'll be situational. But at least Glass Cannon has a full 25% uptime every time. So once I put the turret out there, it is guaranteed all the skill damage that I've rolled on all my gear pieces, including this extra 25%. So if you add all the bonuses that I have on each piece, which is about, each one is 20. This one is going to give me, this is going to give me 20%, another 20%, another 20%, 20%, 20%, 20% from these three. It's going to be about 60% plus that 25%. That's 85%. So that's actually pretty good. Now, if I go back and I look at, say, perhaps other ways to improve this, I'm going to go to my weapon. There's a weapon it's a named weapon called the Surge. You guys probably know this. And Surge grants me, a 25% damage increase for 8 seconds every time I land a headshot. Add that 25 to the already 85% that we have. I mean, we're now looking at what, 110% damage boost. So this is something that you basically get for an uptime that's quite legit. And then even if you think about even your your backpack talent here, Combined Arms, that's giving you another 25%, you start to see how that damage actually does scale regardless of whatever skill that you use. And then you think about skill tiers, where every skill has improvements every skill tier that you actually select. So I'm using the Chem Launcher Oxidizer. And the skill tier 6 grants me an extra 5 ammo, grants me an extra 12% radius, an extra 120% duration, and then an extra 60% damage. If I'm able to get it to overcharge, it will grant me a little bit more, but overcharge doesn't seem too worth it right now anyways, to be able to give up a lot of that skill damage. But there are other variations that people will come up with to be able to gain the overcharge that also, that continues to give them that extra 80% damage. It's not bad. It's an extra 20% damage increase. There's nothing wrong with that. But, in order for you to get it, it'll be situational, but it's still something worth using, as well as my turret, which also does 120% extra damage and has a health of 420%, which is actually pretty good. If I get it to overcharge, or if there's somebody on my team that can provide overcharge, I'll be gaining more and dealing more damage. So if you also now look at this build on a final sense, one thing you're going to notice is this build still needs a lot of improvements. Remember, I said I want to be able to have my skills uptime as fast as possible. In order for me to do that, I could switch to hardwired, which will give me my uptime, but at the same time, I could just also find a way to get pieces that have skill haste and skill damage. Does that make sense? So instead of having armor regeneration here, I would need to have skill haste. And while I'm also here, instead of having, this weak weapon handling, skill haste to be ideal. So once I can run my skill haste to the max possible, where I have my skill every basically 10 seconds, then I know I'm in a spot that, yes, my skills are now having that huge uptime and dealing as much damage as I possibly want. So in application sense, what you're going to have to deal with are the challenges of using your cover and using your positioning to be able to set these builds up. Now, a lot of people might say, there are better versions of this, but like I said, this build is designed to showcase the importance of this when it comes to skill, skill builds and improving, your entire build. One more aspect that I didn't talk about, which I'm going to try to close out with when I'm done with this video, or when I'm done with this testing, is, so I start firing enemy NPCs. Damage dealt is about 152,720 damage. When I hit headshots, notice how that number eventually starts to increase, okay? Let's target this enemy NPC here, and I hit headshots. Now that number has gone to 214,000. And as I keep hitting, if you notice on the bottom of the screen, you're going to see the uptime for Spike perfect spike. Sorry, sir. Is this spike? Yeah, perfect spike here from the surge. And then you're also going to see the icon for combined arms telling me that this is what is hitting. This is what, you know, see, it's gone back because I'm no longer firing my weapon. When I fire my weapon, combined arms increases the damage to, you know, its own damage factor. Let's hit this enemy NPC here. 133,400, 190,000 when I'm using just combined arms. When I hit a headshot, that number now goes up to the, what is it? Goes up to the 200,000 mark. And so this is me increasing my damage while using my weapon. I know a lot of people say, use your weapon. Well, you're using your weapon, okay? Calm down. This is how The Division works. This is why The Division will always stand out as one of the better RPG games regarding its mechanics and systems over other RPG looter shooters like Destiny or Warframe. We got the min-maxing going on. We got the systems and the mechanics that just make the game unique. Now, those games do some other things better than this game, no doubt, but you can't beat how intricate this game works. Now, apologize for not having technician up on this, you know, on this agent. I have it on my second account, actually much better upgraded than this, but I only got 45 of the, you know, specialization points because all I actually wanted was to be able to get this 10% skill damage and the other proxies that also go along with it. So if you look at your specialization here with technician, you have a talent called overclock CPU. It's a passive talent, and you guys probably did see it. You know, when I was hitting the headshots, an icon came on. That icon was signifying that I was getting this extra, you know, passive talent with my specialization. So this is how you complement your build. You start out with your brand sets, you move to your talents, and then you move to your weapons, and then you go to your specialization. You also have the option of using mods as well, which will grant you things like skill haste, skill repair, which are able to kind of also buff your skills as well. Let's look at my artillery turret. I have a Cyclone Magazine mod that gives me extra 4.2% damage. And then I also have another one that gives me 6.5% skill haste. These are some of the mods that you can use in order for you to enhance your skills and how they work. So if you combine all of these, you put yourself in a situation where your build is as good as it can get once you're able to get the pieces and once you're able to combine the talents and synergize them very well. This is how you do theory crafting, testing, and building to enable yourself have the best possible build that you want to play. A lot of people do not play artillery turret. Sorry, I said artillery turret. A lot of people do not play assault turret. That's why I used it for this video. And this is basically not a go get an artillery turret build going, because if you're not in the context of a build, if you're not in a context where you can use this and position this well, the build will fall off the charts. It will just be useless to the entire team. You're better off using other high damage builds that you actually want. Now, this, like I said, this is not going to give you the max damage, but it does at least provide a roadmap for you on how to improve your build and how to improve your agent. There are also other aspects of it. You can go on the shade level side and actually, you know, roll your watch to be able to grant you more skill damage if you wanted to. I have not rolled my shade level because I basically farm on this account, farm on another account, and move on to play other games, because this is an extreme grind that I can't catch up to the people who use the shooting range and all that stuff. And what's the name of the other XP one that they were doing? The Warhound missions, which was giving a bunch of XP in this side of the map. And, you know, I just think I'll just take my time and just, you know, enjoy the process. And when I get there, I get there. It's not necessarily a big, it's not, to me, it's not a big killer. I mean, it's max 10% skill damage, and I already have, you know, half of it. So if I really wanted to keep grinding, I can do that and complete what I need. And then if I was going to play a healer, then I can also play skill repair. If I was also wanting, you know, skill duration, it's also nice to have the 20% skill duration as well. You know, no doubt, to be able to have your turrets uptime, you know, way up there, that would also be something that's helpful for me in the context of this build. Okay, so that's basically it for me. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you're new to the game, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. You're going to have a lot of veterans prowling through the comments who will probably be answering your questions. I'll try my best to answer them as well. And I'll see y'all hopefully in the next one. Peace.